Did you know that the DET writing sample question asks you to write a mini essay in 5 minutes? Now, that might sound pretty stressful, but if you know what you're doing, there's no need to worry. So today, we're looking at 6 tips that can help you turn a level 90 answer into a level 140 perfect writing sample. So let's get started. Hello, I'm Francis from Last Minute English, and here on this channel we help you pass the DET first time with a really high score. Now, before we get started with those 6 tips, let's do a quick review of what the writing sample is all about. So, the writing sample gives you a prompt, that's a question, and it will look something like this. And in that question, usually you'll be asked to give your opinion about a topic where there's 2 possible arguments, 2 different sides. You'll have 30 seconds to look at the question, read it, and think about it, and then you have 5 minutes to write. Now, the minimum number of words that you need is 50, but here on this channel, we're not interested in doing just the minimum. We want you to get the best score possible. So you should be aiming to write at least 120 words in those 5 minutes. Now, there's only one writing sample in the whole of the DET. It comes at the end of the test. The speaking and writing samples are the last 2 questions. And they don't call it an essay or like a mini essay, but really it is a mini essay. So let's jump in and take a look at those steps that you can take to turn a level 90 answer into a level 140 answer. And what we're going to do first of all is have a look at a level 90 answer. So I'm going to put it on screen here for you, and you can take some time. You can pause the video if you want, read through, and see if you can notice any of the problems in there. Let's have a look now. So that is the answer that we're going to start to improve and eventually get it to level 140. And we've got 6 tips, and I really suggest that you stick around until tip number 6, because that's something that can very quickly boost your score. But a lot of people forget to do it. So first of all, tip 1. Tip 1 is obvious, but it's important. Read the question carefully and then make a list of the ideas that you want to include. So you need to decide your opinion on the question that you've been given, and what are the maybe 2 or 3 points that you want to mention to support that opinion. And you can also think about why you disagree with the other side of this opinion. And a really important point is that all of your ideas should be related to the question. So let's do a little exercise. I'm going to show you our level 90 answer again. And I've got something important to tell you, which is one of the paragraphs is not related to the question. I want you to read that whole essay and figure out which of the paragraphs should we delete, which one is not relevant to the question. Have a look now. Okay, so welcome back. So did you find the paragraph that isn't relevant? It is, of course, paragraph 2, because it's talking about like how school is stressful in general. So it's a much more wide, vague idea. It's not specifically focused on the question itself. So we can get rid of that one. Tip 2 is to give a logical structure. That means that what we put first and second and third, it should make sense. Now I'm going to give you another activity. So this is not just me telling you things, this is you actually taking part. So I want you to put the answer into this order. We've got 4 steps that we should follow. First step, I want you to present your points. Okay, so what is it that you're saying? What is your argument? So you have to find which of those paragraphs does that. Step 2 is to give your arguments. What are your reasons for thinking like that? Again, which paragraph can we use for that? Step 3 is to defend yourself against counter arguments. So what would other people say on the other side of the argument? Okay, so find that paragraph. And then step 4 is a conclusion, little sentence or paragraph. So I want you to bear those in mind and try to reorganize the essay that we've got. Okay, have a try now. Okay, so welcome back. So let's see what the order should have been. So first of all, it should be the sentence that starts with "for centuries," and that's introducing the point that we're talking about. Then the next one is "first and foremost." Those are our ideas, presenting our arguments. Then the defending against counter arguments paragraph is the one that starts with "thought other subjects such as mathematics," and we're going to come to that little spelling mistake in a little while. And then the last one is "it's clear on balance that blah blah blah." On balance is kind of a conclusion sentence. Very nice one to put there. Now sometimes the questions will be a little bit different. So let's take a look at a different question now. So this one is describe behaviors that are important for success in school. Why are these behaviors important? Use examples from personal experience and observations to explain your perspective. Okay, so if you get a question like that, we've got a different structure that you can try to follow. So you could put introduction paragraph, point 1 with examples, maybe point 2 with examples, and if you have time, point 3. It's, you only have 5 minutes, so to put a third point there maybe is unrealistic. But if you can, fantastic. And then a conclusion. Now in a longer essay, like for university or even for something like the IELTS exam, each of those paragraphs would be maybe 100 words, something like that, maybe longer. For this, you've only got 5 minutes, so probably 1 to 2 sentences for each paragraph would be enough. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to like and subscribe because we release new DET videos every week. The third tip is to improve your cohesion. That means how well organized is your essay, with using linkers. So linkers are like connecting words, and they really help the organization of the essay to seem a lot better. So let's take a look at a few that you can use. So if you want to add an extra point, like a second point or a third point, you can use these ones. Also, furthermore, in addition, as well. If you want to contrast, say that two things are in some ways the same or in some ways different, you could say, however, while, yet, on the other hand. And if you want to conclude, you could say, then, ultimately, or even thus. So let's add a few of those into our answer as it is right now. So in the first paragraph, we could add however. We could say, however, times changing. There's a little problem with the grammar there as well, but we're putting however there. Then in the second paragraph, we've got reading and exploring literature also promotes blah, blah, blah. And finally, in the conclusion, it's clear on balance then, with a comma before and after then. Be careful about that. That literature should remain, etc., etc. So we don't need to absolutely go crazy with these. They're just a nice thing to add to make the whole essay feel more organized, more professional. Step 4 is to add topic-specific vocabulary. So if you only use kind of normal, common textbook English vocabulary, it does put a limit on what your final score can be. It stops you from getting those really high scores like 140. So instead, it's good to include just a few more advanced, complex, unusual pieces of vocabulary. So let's go back into our answer again. And this time, we've underlined some simple words. And I want you to see if you can think of a more advanced word to replace those simple words that we have. Okay? Have a look at that now. Okay, so welcome back. So let's take a look and see if we can find some advanced vocabulary. So the first one, instead of programs of study, we could write the school curriculums. Then in the second paragraph, ways of thinking becomes perspectives, and achieve their maximum potential, which already is pretty good language. We can change that for thrive. And finally, at the very end, we've got the very center. We can change it for at the core. Now, just like with the linkers, we don't want to go crazy and make every word an advanced word. It's not necessary. Just a few are enough to show the DET that we've got pretty good vocabulary. And when you're practicing for the writing sample, I suggest that you get your topic and you try to think of a few high-level words that you know, or if you don't know any high-level words about that topic, research a few and then try to include them in your practice answers, because if you can do it in practice and you keep practicing and keep practicing, you'll be able to have a better chance of including that vocabulary in the very high pressure 5 minutes of the DET. Tip 5 is to add complex adverbs. So adverbs are the way that we do something. They describe a verb. Now, you can either add these as you're writing, or you can go back at the end and just add 1 or 2 when you're rereading your answer. So let's do a little exercise to practice this. So I've given you in our answer the choice of 3 different adverbs for several different places. Your job is to decide which one works best in which place. Okay, so read the sentence around it, try to get the right feeling, and choose which is the right word. Let's take a look now. Okay, so welcome back. Let's take a look through, shall we? So the first one, the value of studying novels and poems is increasingly being questioned. So more and more people are saying, is it valuable? Then the next one, it's frequently, that are frequently lacking. So often lacking in the modern world. Then the third one, it's undoubtedly. So mathematics and science are undoubtedly worthy of their place. So surely and undoubtedly kind of have the same meaning, but undoubtedly is a stronger feeling, so we're going to use that one. So those are a few adverbs that you can use, and let's take a look at 5 more advanced adverbs that would look really good in your writing sample. So the first one is indisputably, so that means that there is no doubt or question that this thing is true. We also have conversely, which means in the opposite way. So something happens in one way, but something else happens in a totally different way. We also have accordingly. So accordingly means it happens in a way that is logical or appropriate. Then invariably, something that's almost always happening. So it's a very common, typical thing to happen. And finally, significantly, which means something happens in an important way. So we've been through 5 tips, and the essay's looking pretty good. We definitely improved it a lot. But there's one more really important thing that's stopping us from getting to level 140. And that is that we haven't proofread our answer. So in your 5 minutes, I know it's very, very tight for time. It's a short amount of time. I really want you to try to leave 20 or 30 seconds at the end to quickly reread your answer, because if you can find simple spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes, that can really help to boost your score. Okay, so we're going to practice that now. I've put 5 of each of those mistakes in this essay. So there are 5 spelling mistakes, there are 5 grammar mistakes, but also there are 4 prepositions that are missing. Prepositions are words like to, in, on, for, by, things like that. Those small words that connect the sentences. So I want you to find those 5 spelling mistakes, those 5 grammar mistakes, and add those 4 prepositions. Okay? Have a try now. Okay, so welcome back. So we gave you 1 minute there. Probably you wouldn't have 1 minute in the real exam, but hopefully you wouldn't make so many mistakes in the real exam. So let's quickly go through and take a look at the different mistakes that you could have found. So it was, however, with times changing, and then we say the value of studying novels, so novels only 1 L. Then the next part, I believe that literature is still a crucial topic of study. Then in the next paragraph, first and foremost, so it's F-O-R-E, it's clear that studying, so it's clear that doing something, this is essential in promoting harmony and the spelling of tolerance. So it sounds like E-N-C-E, but it's actually spelled A-N-C-E, tolerance, which are frequently lacking. And then reading promotes literacy skills. So that's a fixed expression. Literacy skills, the ability to read and write. Then the one that we saw before, which was thought, becomes though. So we start it with though. And then we must not neglect that the value of the written word with 2 T's, W-R-I-T-T-E-N. And then every one of us. And then in the last paragraph, it's a little grammar mistake, which is demonstrates with an S at the end. That's maybe the most common grammar mistake that people make. So there we go. Those are the 6 steps that you can take to reach a level 140 in your DET writing sample. So let's take a look at the final product. Let's have a look. I'm just going to leave it on screen for you so that if you want to pause the video and take one final look through, then you can. Let's have a look now. So that's how you get to 140 in the writing sample. And a really important thing is to practice a lot. Don't let the first time you take DET also be the first time that you've written a writing sample. That's a terrible idea. You really have to practice this skill, particularly because it's such a short time, okay? And if you want to prepare for the DET, we've got loads of great videos, different playlists for all of the question types. The links are in the video description. If you found this video useful, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you really want to take your DET preparation seriously, we have our DET Complete Preparation course, which is designed to help you pass the DET first time with a score of 120 or higher. So if you want more information about that, the link is just here under the video as well. I'm Francis from Last Minute English. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.